we have slaughtered that record with 340 Teslas officially a part of the parade.
Hey, welcome to Smart AF. I'm your host, Torie Mathis. We have got a great show for you today, so let's get started. Hey, I'm your host, Torie Mathis, here with my buddy, my partner, Stash.
Hey.
And we want to give you an update on our world record attempt that we had Saturday, December 12th, and we actually just got done with it, so we wanted to give you a little bit of an update about how it went. Sean Mathis.
So the record we were trying to beat was 145 Teslas for the longest Tesla parade. That record has been held by China since 2017. And as of Saturday, December 12th, 2020, unofficially, until we submit the packet to Guinness, we have slaughtered that record with 340 Teslas officially a part of the parade. And that is every current model available to buy right now, which includes an 08 Roadster, which was really neat. And that actually, we made a point to have the Roadster lead the parade, which was pretty cool.
Pretty neat. So we actually had more that registered. We did a pre-registration, and then once we got the information from Guinness about what we needed, we actually re-registered everybody with the information that we needed using Eventbrite, because Eventbrite uses QR codes, which made check-in really easy for us. So we ended up having how many? Over 400.
We had 419, I believe, QR codes actually go out. It was 81% of the QR codes that went out actually attended the actual record attempt.
And so we had more people than that actually registered, but never registered far enough, re-registered to get
even before that.
QR
We had over 500 people originally completely sign up. So once we shifted over from just requiring the email address, once we got all the required information from Guinness and added that on, there was still, I think, 150 plus people that we didn't have all their information to be able to send them the QR code.
Because we were only giving people QR codes if we had every single item, which included their phone number, their VIN, their license plate number, their model, their year, and then the driver's name, which we had everybody's of those. So once they gave us all that information, that is what the requirement that issued the QR code. We also had numbers made for all the cars, and then once cars got the QR code checked in, we had a special sticker so that we were, checks and balances all the way, making sure everybody was accounted for, which was something that I know some of the people that were working with us were really worried about that process. I actually felt pretty comfortable going into the checkout process because of the QR codes, that it was going to go pretty smooth. What did you think? Did you think that?
When the QR codes was actually, it was one of the things Guinness recommended for us to be able to verify the count, because it makes it real. It's almost it'd be really hard to fake it. Let's say that. Like if we were doing the QR codes and it says, 340 QR codes have been scanned, but we try to submit some packet to Guinness and say, no, we had 470. And they're like, well, that's not what this says. And so it just, again, it's one of those using technology to our advantage that makes Guinness more comfortable to accept the number that we submit to them versus any kind of question. Originally, before I had looked into Eventbrite initially, and it was a little complicated to where I couldn't really figure out how to capture all the information Guinness required completely in Eventbrite, which is why we didn't use it initially. And even if I would have used it initially,
we wouldn't have had all the requirements.
No, and so we still would have had to go back in there and do it anyways. But Tyler Young, he did the logistics of pretty much all of this and trying to get everything to work, and that includes Eventbrite. Him and some of his contacts went into the back end of Eventbrite and figured it all out and was able to build that form that had all the required information that we actually needed in that. And I mean, that saved the day. Otherwise, our other option was going to be to print out everybody's information and check it off, old school, manually, and then put it all together. And just in case, I got that method approved by Guinness, like they would have accepted it, but it definitely would have taken a lot longer than how long it took for us to just quickly scan the QR codes in. And then if anybody, there's any issues with the QR code or they didn't have it, we were able to pull them over to the side, either figure out what the issue was or just have them redo it real quick. Eventbrite sent the QR code within moments to their email, and then we got them back in line, scanned, and they were done.
And you guys, people were amazing. Like, I thought there was going to be a really big deal with trying to get people registered that showed up that didn't have their QR codes. But would you say maybe 20 people you had to register on site?
Yeah, I mean, if that, and that, I mean, that included like one of the police officers came in a Tesla. It was an actual Tesla police car, which was pretty neat. And then we had a few people that had multiple cars in their family, and the QRs just didn't match up. So once we figured that out, it was all good. So it's not even like everybody that I saw go into the area to get repaired actually needed a new QR code. They just needed something to figure out, and we just moved them over to the side so that we could keep the line going as fast as possible.
It was really cool to be able to use some different technology and some things to make this easy, because trying to do this by hand, which is originally what we thought. I mean, I was trying to think of like a Google spreadsheet, like on site, and like trying to figure out how to bring this all together. The QR codes in Eventbrite really ended up working out really great. And I think it made it easy and was really professional for everybody that was involved, that they actually had a ticket that had to be scanned rather than us like pulling out a Google sheet, a Google spreadsheet or something to try to click them off. So that was awesome. I thought it worked out really, really well.
And we still have stuff to do with that. So apparently there's some reports and all that kind of stuff that we can generate from the back end and use that data to then verify for ourselves who actually participated in the parade. And then Torie's going to design some certificates, and we'll get all those sent out to everybody.
Which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
So the big thing with, obviously it was to set a Guinness World Record, but another thing that we were doing was to raise money for Operation Underground Railroad. And again, technology, man. They have a website set up that you can set up your own campaign for taking in donations, correct? Mm-hmm. And so we sent everybody to that link so that we weren't getting money for them and then having to transfer money and worrying about like bank fees. So that was set up really great. And then another thing we did a Teespring campaign. So we designed some t-shirts. And we had to go through the process to get the Tesla logo on the shirt. So that was fun. But we did end up getting that. So people were able to buy t-shirts ahead of time. And again, all that money is going to go directly over to OUR. Going to be pretty seamless. Like, I'm pretty stoked on how you had it set up, that we're not, we always talk about, we don't want to be a bank. We don't want to hustle, shuffle money from one place to another, because you end up getting bank feed and it's just harder to keep track of all that. So though we did get to make a big check to hand over to OUR for over $8,000, we're going to have more money, coming in through the end of the year, and really excited about that.
That number is already higher today than it was on Saturday. So it's pretty neat. And we actually extended the fundraising effort specifically for this event to the end of the year, so that we can continue to generate the buzz and everything that's going on with this, and give people an opportunity to continue to donate to OUR, either directly through our fundraising page so that we can watch that number grow specifically for this event, or buy the Tesla world record attempt gear that's available, and all those proceeds go to OUR as well, which is really cool.
Really awesome. And so we had a representative from OUR. We actually had a couple there, but we had one that came up and spoke and told everybody about it. They gave us bags. They gave us some information. So, the night before, we were still stuffing bags and making bags so that we had one to hand out to each of the people that were registered. So OUR came out after the event and spoke. We had it outside, so it was very, social distanced and spaced out. And then we had Eliza Blue there, who was a sex trafficked survivor that got to come up and tell her story. And it was really nice to bring, and she even talked about that with me afterwards, to bring like these two different crowds together that didn't really know anything that much about each other. And now like they're both fighting for each other and supporting each other. And I think there was a lot of different connections made, and like there's going to be a lot coming out of this event. Did you feel that way too?
Yeah, I think, OUR does a lot of great things in regards to human trafficking. But I think what we did on December 12th with this world record attempt was just raise a whole lot of awareness for what's going on with human trafficking and the sex trafficking world and all that kind of stuff that nobody wants to think about or talk about, but happens all around us. And the timing of something like this happening where we are in Atlanta right before we started this whole journey kind of took us down this path that made it so that we wanted to do this specifically for OUR to help make a difference in this. So, I mean, no matter what, in the end, I mean, record, no record, whatever happens in the end, officially, I think we still made a really big impact, hopefully in, combating human trafficking, and hopefully, these few dollars that we've raised, maybe save some kids or change somebody's life. I mean, I like to think that, we did something really good. And I think everybody else that, whether they've donated directly to the event for this or someone else, or maybe they volunteer, or maybe now it's just on their radar and they can continue to do something about it in the future. It's really cool. I think we made a major impact.
I do. And speaking of doing things for the good, and, we did another video earlier today, just updating everybody that participated. And I mentioned that there, and I really want to mention it again, that I talked to quite a few people that came up to me and said, thank you so much for doing this. I have been in my house. I haven't gone out. Like, I needed this. This was such an important event. Like, you guys did it safe, and people were, everybody felt really comfortable with how we did it. People wore masks, people stayed away from each other as they felt comfortable. We had things outdoors. So it was pretty easy that way. But I had a lady come up to me that was from North Carolina that drove down here, and she's like, we haven't left the house. We haven't done anything. Like, they brought their dog with them and they stayed in a hotel. They're like, we so needed to come out and just get fresh air and just be with other people. You guys, I never thought of that. Like, we've really stayed at home during this whole entire thing too. We've stayed close. We haven't traveled, but we still do go to the gym, and we do a couple little things. We go out to lunch when we can, small things, but, thinking of these people that haven't really done anything at all, and to have this opportunity, and, everybody was so nice, and it was just such a great time, mellow, everybody was happy, everybody got along. Like, I really couldn't have asked for more in that kind of way.
Yeah, it was really cool to see everybody come together, and, the way we laid everything out, it's a challenge with all the COVID stuff to do anything like this, yet alone to do something like this with no COVID. But we really tried to make it so that, if people weren't comfortable getting out of their cars, they really didn't have to. Although we had some technical difficulties with the live feed, it didn't really prevent the attempt from happening, and it didn't really change anything in the end, as far as still going to the same destination and still being able to see the same people. So it was really cool. Makes me really excited to do something like this again, post-COVID.
Absolutely. Yeah. Having the after, get together, we were really, like, our hands were tied on what we could do with that. Having something maybe the night before, a meet and greet, like, we really couldn't do that. I wanted to feed everybody. I wanted to, like, cater some snacks or something. Like, you've had everybody sit in a parking lot for hours, and then drive down Atlanta freeway. Like, it would have been really nice to be able to, it would have been nice. It's like, there's so many different would have been nices. Yeah. But how it came together, considering, like,
ideally, we could have had food trucks at the beginning.
I wanted that too.
We could have had the whole banquet area at the hotel and had a big feast and all party and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't something that, we can really do at this time. So, we had to make do with what we had, and I think it worked out well in the end.
I do. And I think people understood that, and people seem still really really happy. And a lot of people stuck around afterwards. A lot of people didn't, and they went home, and that's fine. I think that it worked out pretty good. And, both of our kids were there and they helped out. We'd also, like, in the morning before, like when the volunteers first got there, we did some nice community service, and all of the volunteers went and picked up a crap ton of trash out of the parking lot. So it was a nice thing for the city of Alpharetta there, that we could help clean up some of their area, because we started in a MARTA park and ride. So that was really nice. And, my kids were out there, our kids were out there, helping out and everything. And so we thought about, like, not having the kids be there. Like, we could leave the kids at home. It'll only be for a few hours, or, maybe having them, get watched or something like that. But I'm really happy that they were there, and so that they could see everything that we put into it and be a part of it, so that, like, they might have thought it was kind of a drag some of the time, like, oh, we had to sit in a parking lot forever, and, we helped do some stuff. But then, like, years from now, I think they're going to remember, like, man, remember when we did the Guinness record? And
Commissioner Tim Eccles wasn't afraid to put them to work. I mean, they're like, he's like, go do this, go do that. And Riley was walking down the line, making sure everybody had their QR codes ready, so that when they got to where they were going to get scanned, they didn't have to fumble around and try to find it. And that was huge. So it was awesome.
Yep. Bella, a little bit shyer, stuck with mom, but she helped me with some technical things, and she was kind of my go-to girl, and both of them did really great. But one thing I do want to mention, and I think it's super important, like, Guinness had a lot of requirements, and some of the requirements were pretty strict in trying to organize this many people to do a very specific thing, especially when you can't, like, gather everybody together and talk directly to them, like, trying to make sure. And even if we did that, like, there's a lot of people in vehicles to organize to do one thing. So it's possible that we didn't get the record. I don't know. Like, we had some, like, after the whole entire thing happened, and we were some of the last cars that went out, because we were still trying to help arrange everything. We had stuff to pack up. So we didn't really know how the beginning of the parade went. But towards the end, like, and I bet we were car, 330 something, 35. Like, we were in the end. The parade was broke up. Like, there was no way that, like, everything had stayed together, but we didn't have to have 340. We only had to have more than 145, but really we don't know. And so we hadn't seen any of the drone footage. We hadn't seen anything yet. It was just like us in our car, and we're like, man, I don't know if we did it, maybe we did, it's not really that important, but we're really wanting to kind of know, like, how everything went, because it's so out of our hands, and we didn't get to see it all. And Riley was like, if we didn't get it, like, we shouldn't have done this. He was so upset in the car, but it wasn't about that. And if we don't get it, it's fine. Like, that wasn't the point. And so I know. And
don't get is literally just the name Guinness. Like, ultimately, yeah, that's the largest gathering of Teslas. That was the largest parade of Teslas. That was the quietest Tesla parade. I mean, there was so many things that, we definitely knocked it out of the park. Which is whether or not we put a title to it is to be determined.
Well, and I feel now that I've seen some of the drone footage, oh my gosh, you guys, it's amazing. Like, go to the Miles Through Time Facebook page, and I know Sean's been posting a lot of it there and sharing some of the things that are coming in. You guys, it's amazing. Some of this drone footage and everything. Like, I feel very confident about it now that I've seen some of that. But just that, you have to try to do hard things. Like, don't just go for the easy stuff. And if you don't accomplish what you set out for, maybe you don't accomplish that one thing. Like, maybe we didn't get the Guinness World Record, but we raised a shit ton of money. We brought a lot of people out. We brought people together. Eliza flew in from somewhere and spoke to everybody. Like, there are so many other things that we accomplished.
In 3 months.
Less than 3 months, 3 months. So in this short period of time, that if we just didn't get that one little thing, like, it's okay. I really think so. And so, talking to Riley about that and explaining that to him, I think was really important.
Plus the lessons learned, the experience we have from this, and everybody involved that had never done anything like this, like, we're all experienced now. I mean, including just the people that just participated in the parade. They kind of know what to expect when it happens again. We're gonna, check them in. We're gonna go flow. We need to get moving. It's not new anymore.
Right. And you don't know until you know. Like, you can't read a book and learn to swim, right? Like you have to get in the water. Like there's no way we could have planned this to know how to, I mean, it's something totally new for all of us.
Well, even like most people don't realize, like this was not the original route. None of it was the original plan, really. You know, this is like 3 months ago. We just saw the record, decided to go for it
because we were new Tesla owners. Like we've only had our Tesla for 4 months.
Yeah, and you know, it's no clue. Completely green on this, not knowing anything other than 145 Teslas didn't seem like that much.
We could do that.
It now seems like a ton of Teslas, and I see why people haven't broke it yet.
Oh my goodness, you guys, like permits and how many people we had to get together, and like it's a lot.
The original route that I had anticipated doing didn't work out. The original spot to start the parade didn't work out. The spot that I wanted to end the parade, they never got back to me. It wasn't until John Visconti, the director at the Westin, actually responded to me and said, yeah, we'd love to have you guys all come to the Westin. That was the starting point. That is all we had to go off of.
And that took just a while to get to that.
That ate up about a month just trying to figure that part out. Then it came down to, well, where do we start from? Where can we fit this many cars and start from?
And not be in people's way.
Yeah, I had already been told by other police officers, they're like, your intersections are our issues, which is why the original route had too many intersections. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to be able to do that for you. And so then, he was the one that actually is like, well, have you thought of the parking rides? They're right off of highways, because it was his suggestion, a highway is going to be your best bet because there's no intersections. And the parking rides, they're public space, so we can just park there. And so the Windward Parkway parking ride was the closest, largest parking lot that I could find to the Westin. There's actually a parking ride a little bit closer, but I definitely would not have fit all the cars in there. And so that obviously would have been an issue.
And that's the hard part too, is that not only do you have to plan all of this, but you don't know how many people are going to show up. We could have had 100, we could have had 140, we could have had 340. Like you really don't know.
We could have had 146 people sign up and then 60 show up. I mean, you really have no idea.
And that's the thing too. Like usually for a lot of things, like because we had people sign up for free, we didn't charge people, which I think if we talked about that today, if we did it again, maybe charge something very small so that only people that are serious.
That would have been a donation for the. It's Absolutely. Not like nobody's profiting off of this.
I'm talking like $10 to save your spot. Then it would have been a couple more dollars, to give to OUR, and then maybe it would have helped to weed out some of those people that maybe weren't really serious about it. But they were like, hey, it's free, let's sign up, because it was months ago. So that might have been a good idea just to kind of get a better idea. But the turnout was insane. Like, I'm so impressed with how many people actually showed up. And people showed up from all over the place. I know I Instagram messaged somebody yesterday that was from St. Augustine. The lady that I talked to that brought her dog, she was from Charlotte. Other people from North Carolina, you said, came?
Virginia, North Carolina, Chicago. Somebody saw an Alaska plate.
Oh
Pennsylvania.
My goodness, you guys. They
Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. Yeah, they're all over the place. So that was all during, what we're experiencing right now in the economy. So you can only imagine what it would be like under normal circumstances.
And we definitely learned a lot. And there's a lot of things, it was not just us. Like there were so many people involved to make this happen. And
there's probably 50 volunteers. And we could have used more.
And we had just even like the people that were in charge of things and organizing. It was more than us. Like we could not have done this by ourselves. We just had an idea. We came up with an idea and ran with it and ran really far. We're pretty good at doing that. And I think that's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But we learned a lot.
It was cool.
If we did it again, and you guys were going to do it again, a lot of things that we learned that we could do a little bit better. But none of those things, like in retrospect, in hindsight, we could say all kinds of things would have been easier. The important thing is we did have a small fender bender, did happen on the highway, but everybody was fine. It was very minimal. there's nothing that, I mean, people are driving. We don't have any control over drivers, so there's nothing that we really could have done for that. The live stream that we had, I live streamed that morning for hours and everything was fine, and then the whole site crashed. I was able to get it back up, but it took a while. Like, we had some things that went wrong, and even though we had things that went wrong, we had a lot of things that went right, and I think that we could do it again and do it even better.
Yeah, yeah. Some of that technical, like, right before the parade started, I went Facebook Live on Miles Through Time's page, and we just checked not too long ago that reached 42,000 people. 42,000.
So, and that was a mistake that we made also, because Sean ended up being one of the people that had to be there, that was an Eventbrite person to scan the thing. So he wasn't able to go live or talk to people or do anything. And so I think if we did it again, we would make sure that Sean had no job, because Sean needs to be the guy that's out there like doing those things. And then once the live feed went down, and then we did the new live feed that Sean just did on the Facebook page, like, it reached so many people, but he was just not available to do it because you were busy bee out there working. And so that's definitely something I think that we could do different next time.
Yeah. The other thing is going to be the route. Anybody that watches this that was actually there, that's not going to be the same place we do it again. The parking layout is going to be different. Like I said,
but now we have time.
Yeah, we got time,
and we have experience
knowledge
behind us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, everything that worked well, we'll obviously do again. Everything that we see how we can improve, consider it done.
Yeah.
And so next time, it should be that much better,
easier, safer, quicker. Yeah, we learned a lot. So, but
and I mean, originally, even at the route that we did it on, we were just going to jump straight onto 400. And even that had changed, where we were able to accomplish the actual Guinness record minimum of 2 miles prior to ever getting on to 400. We had just enough parallel highways, road space to get that done. And I was told by other people that were at the front of the parade, they were already getting on to 400 a couple miles up, and we still had cars in the parking lot funneling out into the parade.
Oh, I'm
So
sure.
that tells you we had over 2 miles long of cars, which that in itself creates a challenge.
It's a lot of people to get out of a parking lot.
But ultimately, like I said, we have the record. Whether we say Guinness or not is to be determined. But we also only need to get 146 cars to be confirmed by Guinness, and we still get the Guinness record. It may just not say, oh, I can guarantee Guinness isn't going to say 340. But as long as it's 346, we've got it. And
146.
146. And as long as, everybody that was there that's part of it, you all get it. So
Absolutely. It was awesome. So if you like this episode, please subscribe to our channel, and definitely go to the Miles Through Time Facebook page and check out what we've been doing. Follow us there. We'd really appreciate that. Miles Through Time also has a YouTube channel that you could go check out and subscribe to them.
And there's a playlist specifically for this Tesla record. So everybody that's creating content and that's putting their YouTube videos on there, we're going to put them on this playlist so that everybody knows where they can go to see all the content that was created, because there's a ton of it.
So definitely check us out and like this video, and we will see you next time. Lots of updates coming up. Thanks.
Bye.
If you want to get smart tools to build your business, go to besmartaf.com.